Ever feel like you're just stuck? Like going through the motions but not really living.
Yeah, feeling trapped, like you don't have control, happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, like we're living someone else's story, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
What if I told you real freedom isn't about getting away from your problems, but like changing how you see them?
Hmm, that's deep. We see that a lot in our deep dive into true freedom.
Okay, so how do we get unstuck? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, we found this amazing story, Maya. She was stuck in that whole needing approval from others thing, demanding job, always trying to look perfect, never feeling good enough.
Oh, yeah, trying to live up to everyone else's
And
expectations.
it made her unhappy. Successful on the outside, empty on the inside.
So
Classic.
what'd you do? Quit her job? Like, move to a deserted island or something?
Uh-huh. Not quite. Maya's change was more about what was happening inside, not outside. Small steps, saying no to things that drained her, making time for stuff she loved, putting herself first.
Finally putting herself first.
And it was tough. Family and friends pushing back, doubts creeping in, but she kept going step by step, making her life match what she truly cared about.
So she wasn't running away from things, just trying to deal with them in a real way, a way that felt right for her.
You got it. And as she focused on herself, on making choices that felt true, something amazing happened. She felt free, like truly free for the first time.
The only way out is through, right?
Yeah.
Facing her problems, taking charge. That's how she found real freedom, deeper than she ever imagined.
Exactly. True freedom isn't about having no problems, it's about handling them with purpose, with a sense of control. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you react.
Maya's story is like she finally started writing her own story, not letting others write it for her. That must have taken a lot of guts.
Oh, yeah, tons of courage. It takes guts to break free from what everyone expects, to face those limiting beliefs, and to step outside that comfort zone.
So if Maya's story is anything to go by, real freedom starts inside, right? It's that
Hmm.
choice to take charge and make choices that line up with who we are, what we value.
Exactly. It's about understanding we have more control than we think. Even small choices can make a huge difference in how free and happy we feel. Maya's story really shows something important about inner freedom. It's not about being like some emotionless robot who doesn't care about what's happening around them.
Right, not pretending everything's perfect all the time.
Yeah, life happens, disappointments, frustrations, all that stuff. It's about how we handle those feelings.
So building up that inner strength, being able to
Yeah,
bounce back.
exactly. Having the tools to stay grounded even when everything feels crazy.
Okay, so what are those tools? How do we actually build that strength?
We talked about setting boundaries, self care, making choices that fit with our values. But there's a ton of stuff out there that can help us find that inner freedom.
Like building a toolkit for our minds.
Right. Totally. And like any toolkit, it's about finding what works for you. Meditation, being creative, getting active, being out in nature, whatever clicks. Experiment, you know?
And probably not just one thing, right?
Hmm.
A mix of stuff we can use when we need it.
For sure. A whole approach to well being. A toolbox to help us get back to center to feel free.
So, more stories. We talked about Maya setting boundaries and going after her passions. What else shows how we can build this inner freedom?
Aisha's story. She was battling with negative self talk, always comparing herself, never feeling good enough.
Ugh, that inner critic. We all know that one.
It was messing with her relationships, work, everything. She knew she needed to change her thinking, but didn't know how.
So what'd she do?
Started a gratitude practice every night, writing down 3 things she was thankful for, didn't matter how small they were.
Simple, right?
Yeah,
But I've heard it can be super powerful.
totally changed things for her. Focusing on the good stuff, like
Yep.
rewiring her brain to see the positive.
Instead of beating herself up, she was building new pathways in her brain, appreciating what she had.
Yeah, and she kept at it. Noticed a big change inside. Calmer, more grounded, less bothered by things. That inner peace you get from appreciating the moment.
Taking back control of her thoughts, choosing to focus on the good stuff.
And it changed how she acted. Doing things she enjoyed, being with people she liked, taking chances she wouldn't have before, living a life that felt more true to herself.
Love that. Shows that even small things, if you do them consistently, can make a huge difference in how we feel and see the world. What about other stuff? Like, if gratitude isn't for everyone, what else can help us find that peace and resilience?
That's where Elias comes in. Super talented musician, but had terrible stage fright.
Stage fright is the worst. I bet that was so frustrating for him.
It was. Every performance, this wave of anxiety, couldn't focus, couldn't really express himself.
Did he just try to push through it, hope he'd get used to it?
He tried, but it didn't work. That anxiety was always there, waiting to mess things up.
So what did he do?
Mindfulness meditation. Started small, focusing on his breath, just noticing his thoughts and feelings without judging them.
I've heard about that, but I don't know, always seemed a little out there.
Yeah, I get it. It's not about having an empty mind or reaching some like perfect state, just paying attention to the moment, not getting swept away by thoughts or feelings.
More about being aware than trying to achieve something specific.
Yeah. And it was huge for Elias. He started to see the negative thoughts that were making him anxious, realized he was always thinking the worst would happen, letting fear control him.
So more than calming his mind, it was about understanding his anxiety and changing how he dealt with it.
Totally. And as he became more aware, he could start to challenge those thoughts. Instead of freaking out about messing up, he'd tell himself, I'm ready, I'll do my best, and I'm going to enjoy this.
Retraining his brain, building new pathways for calm and confidence instead of fear.
And it changed his performances, channeled that nervous energy into passion. His music flowed better, more real, more powerful. Still felt nervous, but wasn't controlled by it.
Wow, so even ingrained patterns, how we think and act, can change with the right tools and effort.
You got it. Both Aisha and Elias show that inner freedom isn't about being emotionless. It's about learning to handle all our emotions in a healthy way.
Being the captain of our own ship, right?
Yeah.
Steering through the rough waters without losing our way.
You got it. We have more power than we realize. Even when things are hard, we can choose how we react, how we feel, how we move forward.
It's inspiring hearing how people found that inner freedom,
Yeah.
But real talk, it's not always that easy, is it?
Nope. It's not a one and done kind of thing. More like a journey, always figuring yourself out, growing. And like any trip, there's going to be times you feel lost, discouraged, maybe even like you're going backward.
So how do we handle those times? How do we stay on this path when things get rough?
First thing, got to realize those tough times are going to happen. It's normal, part of the process, like learning to ride a bike. You'll fall a few times before you get your balance.
Makes sense. So sorry, it's right to mess up, stumble a bit. It's not failing, it's learning.
Right. Just like with that bike, got to get back on, keep practicing. Remember why you started this whole thing, that picture of inner freedom that got you going in the first place.
So having that big picture, that purpose to guide us, even when we hit those bumps.
Exactly. And having people to support us, people to turn to when we need a boost, advice, or just someone to listen.
We don't have to do it alone.
Not at all. Connecting with people who get it, who share our values, can really help. It's powerful.
Like we're all in this together, learning from each other, helping each other along the way.
Exactly. And just like we've been sharing these stories about people finding their own freedom, we can learn from each other's ups and downs, wins and losses.
It's not just growing on our own then, it's growing together, helping each other navigate this crazy world.
Right on. And the more inner freedom we build in ourselves, the more we help make a world where everyone has that freedom.
I love that, like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Our own change spreading out, touching our relationships, communities, the whole world.
So the big question. What would the world look like if more people lived with that inner freedom?
Powerful question. I imagine more compassion, more understanding, people willing to listen, really wanting to make things better.
Absolutely. Less fear, less scarcity, less competition, more love, more abundance, more working together.
And people feeling free to be themselves, to chase their dreams, to share their unique gifts with the world.
You got it. And that leads us to the most important question. What can each of us do right now to build that inner freedom in ourselves and help create that kind of world for everyone?
We'll leave you with that one to think about. We hope this got you curious, made you want to explore your own path to freedom, and maybe gave you some tools, some ideas to help you on that journey.
It's a journey, remember. Twists and turns, ups and downs. But every step we take, every choice we make to line up with who we are, to feed our souls, we get closer to that real, lasting freedom that's inside all of us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into true freedom. We hope you found it insightful. Want to keep going with this? Check out our other videos. We explore all kinds of stuff about personal growth, well-being, creating a life that really means something. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on what's coming next. Until then, keep exploring, keep growing, keep shining bright.